This morning, we have you here to talk about Operation Clean Sweep. This operation started Thursday evening at 4 p.m. where we brought 30 officers as a mobilized force, and using a data-driven enforcement plan of crime analysis, we isolated locations in our city where we've had multiple gunshots, multiple shootings, and we created a sector patrol force, and for 3 nights we conducted proactive operations with one goal in mind, and that was to reduce gun violence, get guns off the street, and put offenders in jail. You know, I said on September 11th at a press conference that I think it's my personal responsibility to safeguard the citizens of this community and the visitors. And that's exactly what I mean, and I speak for every member of this agency. I can't say enough about the officers involved, not only directly in the operation. We increased staffing in the communications center. They worked their tails off. The jail worked their tails off. And the patrol division, where we took officers from, worked very hard as well. The operation went on into the night each night. Operation Clean Sweep is not over. We are just here to show you some of the things that we recovered. We arrested 72 individuals on 103 charges. We seized 31 firearms. These firearms will not be going back into the hands of the public. They will be destroyed after the adjudication process is over. Some of these are missing serial numbers. Some of them may be crimes, firearms involving crimes, other crimes we've had. The arrests we made stem from possession of marijuana to a capital murder arrest of the second offender from the Lena Street shooting. A robbery suspect. We seized about $5,000 in cash, 8 ounces of crack cocaine, 5 ounces of crystal methamphetamine. The list goes on and on. We had assistance with this. The Drug Enforcement Administration, and who is a partner. We have DEA representatives in our department, both task force, and they were assisting the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Division, United States Marshals Task Force, and the Alabama Pardon and Parole Board also participated with us. Some of these weapons that we have seized will be used in federal prosecutions. There's still a lot of work that investigators have to do, and but I can't say enough about the overall efforts. Captain Will Glover, particularly, I know he don't take credit for it, but he organized the thing from the very beginning, and this operation began its organization before the September 11th press conference. So I'm very proud of what he's done, and the lieutenants over the different divisions. Basically, we had to put things on hold. The investigators slid their case files to the back of the desk, and they put on their uniforms, and they got out, and they got these guns off the street. So it's easy for me to sit up here and say we did this or we did that, but we've got a great team that know how to do it. We selected officers who are seasoned and have a good knowledge of criminal law and constitutional law, and we have more out there, and we're going to rotate those as this operation continues. And I know one of the questions may be that what's next? No, we're not going to say what's next. We didn't say what we were doing 2 weeks ago, and we're not going to say now. But what I will say is I mean what I say, and the department, every member here that works with me, they mean what I say as well. We're not gonna tolerate gun violence in the city of Dothan. We didn't have one single shot fired call during that 3-day period. That's because we're getting these off the street and we're saturating these areas. I'll go ahead and answer a question that may be asked is, how do you come up with the data for sector patrol? Well, obviously as a CALEA agency, an accredited agency, one of the things that we have to have is a crime analysis, and I gave you a snapshot of that at the press conference on September 11th. But what we do is we basically look at times, locations, incident numbers, and we concentrate a reactionary force in those areas based on the complaints. So with that data put together, we come up with the times that we did it, and we executed it with very profound results, quite frankly. So, are there any questions?
Are they most, if not all, stolen?
No, they're not. There are 3 or 4 of these that are. Every one here, though, will be kept. They're not going to be returned. Some of our officers did stop some people who had a lawful right to carry handguns, and they were after the field interview, their gun was returned and they were released. So.
This type of operation, should this be something that's continued and funded in the future? Because of a lot of communities have the shots fired and didn't know, y'all had no shots fired this weekend. So is this something that should kind of be ongoing and officers in this area a lot?
Well, that's a good question. We did pull from the existing forces we had, and it put a significant strain on everything from other response times because of the mobilization force that we had. But it was also very expensive. It takes a lot of money to run an operation for an extended period of time. But I think I can speak for the city commission and the city managers that that's money well spent when you have a return such as we have here. I mean, if you really think about it, there's 31 guns that will never be on the streets of Dothan again.
For the arrest made, how did y'all determine who to arrest or who was a suspect per se?
Well, during it could be an investigative stop where they it could be one of many things. An investigative stop and one thing can lead to another, and through the officer's investigation of that particular incident, he could articulate enough to perhaps to make an arrest. It could be someone who had a warrant on them. It could be anything. But we also had the United States Marshals Task Force at 5 a.m. on Friday morning raided 7 locations for 7 offenders that we had on our watch list for either a flight risk or hard to find on the lam or just a dangerous individual that we apprehended as well. So all in all, it was very successful.
I got 2 questions, Chief. Number one, if only a few of these guns were stolen, were the rest of them taken because they did not have a permit to carry a gun?
Some of them were, some of them are missing serial numbers.
Gotcha.
There are a couple of these that are going to, they're being taken by ATF for federal prosecution. So it could be anything.
And my second question is this: I don't know, it's early on, so you may not have got this reaction, but in the neighborhoods where you took these weapons, there are a lot of law-abiding people that live in those areas. Have you had any feedback for them? If not yet, what would you anticipate would be the feedback from?
As a matter of fact, we have had feedback. The nights during the operation, we had several people, and I'll use Ford Country as the example that I specifically heard. There were people in that neighborhood that were just elated that we were there and that we were taking very proactive steps in taking these guns off the street. And we're going to continue to do that. That's the point that I really want to make, is that Operation Clean Sweep is in its infant stages. We're gonna keep doing this. We're not gonna say when we're gonna do it. We're just gonna do it, and we're committed to it. We're committed to keeping Dothan safe, to keep the shots fired calls down, to keep the murder rate down, to keep the shooting rate down, and we're gonna do that, period. Any other question?
Would it be fair to say you've had enough?
Well, yes, obviously. It's a trend that we have seen all over the country. But it's a trend that nobody in law enforcement likes. There are thoughts in law enforcement that maybe the administration does not support the actions, the political environment doesn't support it. Well, that's not the case here. And the sooner people that want to shoot Dothan up understand that, the more trouble they'll save themselves, because we're not gonna put up with it. Thank you.